This video is going to be about one of my favorite kits, the Monogram-Revell Shelby GT350R, a Mustang. So before we get rolling on that, I just wanted to mention a couple things I forgot in the video. But I'm going to put two links down below. One link is a GT350R driving at Daytona at night. It's actually pretty cool. But you can crank the sound up and you can hear that little 289 just smoking down that track. I mean, it's really a really cool video. And then another one is a video of somebody installing the second version of the traction bars that go underneath the car. I'll also mention that Cobra R's had Coney shocks, which are like an orange-red color. So if you did build a model, you want to paint the shocks, and I believe the kit only has rear shocks. I don't think it comes with front ones, but those would be like an orangish reddish color. So now we go on to the feature. So today I want to talk about the one of my favorite kits, as mentioned before, which is the Monogram-Revell Shelby GT350R. This is the race version. It's different than the other ones, but this is just one of the boxes art that they used, but are all essentially the same model, regardless of the art on the box. In '65, the cars, if I remember right, came available in two colors, white and blue. So I don't remember the specific names. But then in '66, you could get more colors. But I believe the race cars were only available in two colors. So it's depicted as white or blue, usually on the box. And there's this is the street version. There's differences between this and the race version. The pieces are different. The race version comes with parts that would not be in this kit. Although you can make a nice Mustang with this, and it does have some Shelby parts in it. Mainly like the Monte Carlo bar here under the hood, and I think it has the it should have the Cobra valve covers, but essentially it's just a Mustang. And then they also have a 2.2 version, again not necessarily a Shelby, but just a Mustang. There's also a convertible version. There's also a Shelby GT350H, which is the Hertz version from the Hertz rental car company. So I don't have that one to show you. I built them all. I need to get another one or two. So I do have one of these kits open, and we can look at some of the parts. And for the most part, well, all you're going to get here is you're going to get a racing seat. And you get the front valance panel for the Shelby. And for the R version didn't have a rear bumper, so there's nothing going on in the back. It didn't have any kind of this. It just had the regular valance panel behind it and no bumper. This is the part of the roll cage here, and that's it for that tree. There is a package piece. It comes on the Shelby parts one. So back here in the back, you have two seats here. The lower part is molded into the interior. But this package shelf here, okay, can go inside here to cover up the back seats. Our versions actually didn't have a back seat because they were only made for the race car. So you would normally just cover that up. They also make a spare, I believe on the street version, they would keep a spare tire. That's where it would go, is on top of this shelf. I know in racing there are some series, especially over in Europe, where it's required that you carry a spare, but I'm not sure if that's why that's in the model or not. So I can't bank on that. So the back panel, let's see. This section has all the regular parts. You do get some headers, of course, but all the Shelbys had some kind of header. That's all I see on here. Now, the Shelbys had two traction bars, or anti-wheel hop bars on them, And around 65, they mounted them where the leaf springs were, and they actually cut a hole in the bottom of the car or the bottom of the body. And then those were mounted right around in here, but inside the car. Later on, they went to a regular traction type bar, and those were mounted on the bottom outside the car. So if I remember right, and reading some of the Shelby books that I have, they did it on the inside until they ran out of them. And then rather than make more, or whoever made them, they decided in order to save labor costs, because they had to cut this open and then weld the bracket and then cover it up and everything like that. There was a lot of welding and a lot of labor intensive work. So the other one was almost basically a bolt-on. There was some minor welding, but they could do it on the outside without cutting a hole in the floorboard. So you could do your car either way. This car, this model, has two parts in it. They're not in the instruction sheet, which is these two parts here. And I'm not clear whether those, I couldn't find an old enough, a really old instruction sheet to tell you what to do with these two parts. But I'm guessing that those were somehow intended to be those two dampeners. I don't know what else they could be. They're certainly not shifters. So whatever they are, they are. There's two scoops on the side on here, and normally those go on the side of the Shelby right in here. Now, not all Shelby cars have that. There's a lot of them that don't. A lot of people added them because they're either cool looking, or they could cut a hole in the body and it would filter air to the back, to the brake drums and the axle and such. But not all of them came with that. That wasn't standard even for the Shelbys. So if you left those off, you'd be perfectly fine. Also, this window back here, this window hole on this car, there's some that are louvered, but this one here, they just used a cover plate to cover it up, to cover up the opening. So it has like rivets molded into it. That would cover that hole. If this was a stock Shelby, they would probably get these ones here that are vented. So it's just decorative, I'm pretty sure. There's not an actual hole there in the real car. But you have those. If it's some, later on Mustangs actually replace this section here in the car, right here, with a glass window. And I believe the Shelby Hertz version actually has a clear piece to put a window in there. I don't think this car comes with it. I don't see it on the clear tree. So just be aware that you actually have three options on putting something in that space. On our versions, of course, the battery was in the trunk, so you could remove this, they're not going to do that on the model because, they share this with 2 or 3, 4 other versions, including a convertible, which is basically stock. So they're not going to take that out of there. But you could. Not many modelers I see that do, which makes it correct. You just remove that, and of course the battery would be in the trunk. This car has, this is standard 289. There's the engine heads, the 1 4-barrel intake and such. So you're going to get all that. This kit also has, and other kits might have it, the other Shelby might have it too, this is an instrument cluster that goes on the dash. Okay, it goes right in between here. Now they don't show it, and I looked at some of the pictures and I don't really see it on the Shelby, so I don't think it was standard on the Shelby, but it probably was a Ford part that you could buy and install on a Ford Mustang. So if you wanted to add those gauges, they simply go right here on the dash. That's what those are for. The Shelbys had smooth valve covers. They didn't say Ford Cobra or anything on them. They were just smooth. So I think that covers all the parts on this tree. That's part of the roll bar. I think this right here is part of the steering column. So here you have the standard 289. It would have been a hypo version in a Mustang like this, but other than that, front suspension, radiator here. It's the radiator support actually, and then the front coil springs, and then the rear leaf springs and the axle. Pretty standard for all the cars. Now on the chrome tree, you're going to, of course, get the side, the exhaust that comes out the side. You do get these wheels. I'm going to show you these wheels. Here's what I really like about this kit. All right. I don't know if I can point this out or not. Let's see if I can get in here. Okay. But right, let's see if we can get here. Right there, you're going to see that, you're probably thinking that's a nub. That's like a defect or something like that. It's not. It's actually where you put, the air in the tire. So they're actually molded into the wheel. Very cool. And I think this is the only model I've ever seen that. And it's a very nice detail. Of course, there's a Cobra oil pan on this car, such as this. This is the part that goes to the engine, and then the lower part, I believe it held around 7 quarts, something like that. I don't remember exactly. And there's the air cleaner. But although the Shelby R version used this one right here. So standard cluster, nothing special about that. There's your carburetor, your shifter, tail lights, stuff like that. There's actually another gauge cluster here. The instructions probably tell you which one to use. It might be a minor difference. So I'm sure the original Cobra oil pan probably had a baffle in it. So like if you're driving in Daytona or something and you're up on the high bank and all the oil sloshes over to one side of the oil pan, you won't lose any air pressure and kill the motor. So another thing that's only about this car here, the R version, is the window. Actually, I'm just going to take that right off of there because it has a thing there anyway. On the R version, the window has a gap at the top. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the front window. Here's the back window. Here we go. See all these different parts, what do you know? It's always something. So on this car, on the back, there's actually a gap between the roof and the window. And that gap is made there so when the air runs across the top of the car, it sucks the air out from inside the interior because it's plenty hot in that race car, like any race car. So that was made to try and pull out the hot air in there. So that's unique to this car. None of the other Shelby kits have it as far as I know. And that's about it. So if you wanted to get a Shelby Mustang, this would be the one to get, or even a 65 or 66 Mustang, which are essentially the same car, except for the grille. Let's see. I think this grille. I don't think that's. Well, that's the one Monogram gives you, but I do think that in some of the Mustangs for 65, 66, there's a minor difference in between them. But other than that, I think there's a bar that separates them on the later one. But other than that, they're pretty much the same. So you can build either car. But those are the differences. So if you're going to build one of these Mustangs, a 65, 66 by Monogram, it is 124, or a Revell. I think you'd have more fun with this one because you're going to get all these extra parts, parts that are unique, and you could build a race car out of it. Any kind of race car you have. It doesn't even have to be a Shelby. So anyway, I would say get whatever version you can afford because they're not cheap anymore. It was just released and it's still expensive compared to other Revell models. So for some reason, I don't know why, because it's probably been out for 30, 40 years. But I recommend it. It's a good kit. Give it a shot.